I love you. You know how much we just love doing this show, Couch Potatoes. It is a glorious day outside. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm looking at it right now.
It is.
Rolling green hills, slight breeze rustling through the trees. I see a couple birds out there. It's so beautiful. But we're here.
Well, my window's blocked.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It's beautiful out there. Let me tell you. I'll tell you what you're looking
beautiful.
at.
I've been out there. You're going to tell me what I'm looking at? Yeah, tell me.
You got a road and a tree.
Yeah.
And occasionally there's a really fast truck driving by that just like revs its engine. And across from that road, beyond it, you got a empty field ready to be seeded and prepared.
Yeah,
well, I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know my farm words anymore.
They use it for parking. For the festivals they throw at the pumpkin patch down there.
I thought you were gonna say helicopters for all the rich people that are hiding out.
Dude, one time they did bring a helicopter out there,
but that was a medical emergency, right?
Yeah, it was a strange moment for me. It really was. It was like just right in front of my bay window, or whatever you call the big window at my house. I don't know what makes it bay. Is it because they mix Old Bay seasoning into the caulk?
I think it's having a bay outside. It's like a bay of water.
Oh, so you need to have the water to have a bay window.
Yeah, you need to have an entire bay in your backyard.
Well, since we're just imagining what's in my front yard, there is a bay.
Yeah, in the middle of the field, the empty field, there is a gigantic bay. Yeah. The Bay of Biscuits.
Nice. And the Bay of Biscuits.
Yeah.
I go there on the weekends. It is just overrun with seagulls. But they're afraid of me, so it's all good.
Good fishing, I imagine.
Yeah. They all have 3 eyes. I don't know if I trust that.
I don't trust that at all, no.
And I wonder if that's why it's called the Bay of Biscuits.
Ooh.
Like that third eye is their biscuit.
Ew. That's gross.
So we're talking about this. I am the Faceless Leon. I don't know if you did that part.
I don't think we did. I'm the Green Traveler from Gorsh. We'll get into the Bay of Biscuits.
This is Green and Faceless. This is Green and Faceless on the Couch, a podcast about movies and TV and biscuits. And potatoes.
Yeah. We got all the food items here. We're slowly becoming KF chicken.
KF chicken.
But I'm vegetarian, so
still KFC.
Well, I didn't want to say KFC in case they try to sue us.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
But I think you still said it. KF chicken, I think, is still the same thing.
No, I don't think. I think legally, because I don't think they can. I think they had to change their name because they used to be called Kentucky Fried Chicken. But then they've legally rebranded their name to just KFC. Like,
okay.
I think because their chicken's not maybe 100% chicken, not all their products anyways, maybe. Don't sue me, KFC.
I do know that they have
just
genetically modified chicken.
So and I think legally they couldn't call their product chicken anymore.
KF chicken. Don't sue us.
Yeah, please don't. I'm so sorry. I'll bleep it all out. I promise. I swear. Nobody's gonna listen to this episode. We're good.
So, for those who might be listening, we're talking about something very special today. Very, very near and dear to my heart anyways. Yeah. And that is the Legend of Vox Machina.
Yeah. It's near and dear to my heart as well. It's not as near and dear. You are a much more loyal follower of the background of this show than I am.
Critter. You can say it. It's not a dirty word. I'm a critter.
Okay. You're right. I can. And I am an occasional critter. I am I'm like the lurking critter. Yeah. So I guess we should explain because it's The Legend of Vox Machina is an Amazon Prime D&D show.
Animated series.
Series. based off of
is fantasy.
A much bigger thing. Which I'll let you...
and I was actually going to do that in a few seconds here.
You're waiting for a
Take me out to the living room. Take me out to my chair. Pass me the clicker and turn on the tube. I don't care if we even eat food, for it's the Faceless Pitch.
I'm so sorry I've forgotten about it. I was like,
yeah, so
you looked off into the distance and I was like, oh no, he broke. I was like, what happened?
just like Percy.
His face solidified like Han Solo in the one chamber thing.
So I actually got 2 pitches for us, and I'm going to derail what we were talking about and talk about the other one first, because it is equally as great, and it is called The Great. It is a Hulu original about the Russian Empress Catherine the Great.
Ooh,
it is the early story of when she comes to be Peter the Terrible's wife. I almost said husband. She comes to be his wife from Austria, and then eventually leads a coup against him because he is terrible.
Nice.
And this particular version of this telling is a comedy, and it is just freaking hilarious, but also super dark at sometimes. A lot of death, quite a bit of blood too. And then for as much sex as there is in the show, like a lot of comedy is around the sex. For as much sex as in the show, not very much nudity. Not a complaint.
That's good.
Complaint. I mean, it would be really hard to get in and out of those fancy dresses that they wear.
Right.
So there's like some fun bits, like because she's from Austria, which is like very much in Europe. When she comes to Russia, they are trying so hard to be European, but they're so distant that they do a lot of things wrong with the fashion in particular. Like they order wigs from France and they wear them on the back of their head, like hats. They're like, look at these hats we got from France. Aren't they fabulous? And she's trying not to laugh at them, being very polite. And then eventually she uses that as a jape against them. Which they use the word jape a lot in this show, at least like 50 times an episode.
Oh my
because
God.
He's a rather prankish emperor, but a lot of times he just does awful things, and he's like, it's just a jape. And I pulled up the cast list so that I could say who these talented people are. It stars Ellie Fanning as Catherine, Dakota Fanning's younger sister.
Okay. I was gonna say, I thought I knew that name.
Just because I only know Dakota as all the children in all the movies I watched as a child. It's really hard to look at Ella and imagine her younger than Dakota.
Right.
But, these people are kind of closer to our age than not.
Kind of how I feel about Elizabeth Olsen and Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen.
Yeah, that is very much how I feel about that. It's just because we grew up in a different time.
Right.
So Peter the Terrible is played by Nicholas Hoult, and I think they just both do such a terrific job. Hoult is super funny as Peter, but also super evil. He's the perfect psychopath kind of character.
Can you go down the line a little bit with Nicholas? Was he in Mad Max? Was he the sprayed his mouth guy? The Witness Me?
Yes. Nux. I believe so.
Yeah. Notice me.
Yes. So
he's great.
What is super weird about Nicholas Hoult is that he looks quite a bit like my cousin, who I won't name, and kind of acts very similarly.
Oh no.
Sorry to that human, if you listen.
Call them the Faceless Nick.
The Faceless Nick. Yeah, he does some things, but he's trying to do better as a human, which is kind of interesting because in the second season, that is the storyline with Peter. He's no longer in power, but she let him stick around because they have a son together named Paul. There are some other great characters in this. We have Mario, played by Phoebe Fox. She helped with the coup. So did Count Orlo, played by Sacha Dhawan. I believe that's how you say his name. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Dr. Who. He's the master right now.
Yes, he's currently been playing the master, and he is, oh my god, so good at it.
Yeah, he is great. I fucking love him as the master.
And he's great as Orlo, too, but dude is a completely different character.
Oh, I bet.
So if you like him, you should check it out. He is great. One of the main characters. There is Gregor, played by
strong
Willem
name.
Lee. Yes, Gregor, strong name. He is Peter's best friend, but he also, just because Peter's the emperor, Peter fucks his wife Georgina like crazy, played by Charity Wakefield, and he just lets him do it because they're childhood best friends, and also he's the emperor and crazy.
And he likes a good cuckolding.
And he actually doesn't appreciate it, but that's part of his storyline. We also have the Archbishop. I can't remember his full name. It's not on IMDb, but they call him Archie. He becomes higher up in the church due to certain things. But it's Adam Godley. I don't know if you know Adam Godley. He's in a godly amount of things, but he is hardly ever like the main character. He is a fantastic actor.
Yeah, the name doesn't ring a bell.
I really appreciate him in this. I'm trying to... Oh, he voices Pogo in the Umbrella Academy, but that doesn't help.
No.
Not at all. He was in Breaking Bad for a little bit.
Which character?
As Elliot Schwartz, the guy who almost went into business with Walt, or Walt almost went into business.
Yeah, I kind of recall that.
He's got ears. I'm sorry, Adam. That is your defining quality to me, and I apologize.
If you were a caricaturist, you would just have massive ears, huh?
You're a fantastic, underrated actor, I believe. So go watch him in The Great. I think I'm going to be done talking about The Great. It's amazing. I think you should watch it. What do you think?
I think it does sound fascinating. How many? Is it only going to be 2 seasons? Is it over with?
It just finished its second season. I think there's going to be a third. I hope there is, because the comedy is fantastic. I'm
going to hold off on it then. I don't know. That's the kind of stuff that I feel better about waiting until it's over with to watch.
Sure.
There's certain shows right now that if it's just something that I'm super close to, or that's just blockbuster, any Marvel or Star Wars stuff. I tried Boba Fett, but I couldn't get into it. But everybody told me I have to come back. We'll find out if I do or not. I don't know.
Apparently, it's just the third season of The Mandalorian.
The last 2 episodes are, yeah. So I might just watch those last 2 episodes and say fuck the rest of them. But yeah, sorry, Boba, we're not going to be talking about you anytime soon on this show. That's for damn sure. I tried, but I don't know if it's big, if it's blockbuster heavy, or if I really like it, some of the shows we've already talked about on this, and the one we're going to talk about today. Even I'll watch it while it's coming out. But if it's something like that, I think I'm better waiting until I can just stream the fuck out of it and just marathon everything.
Sure. Yeah. They're the episodes, because the magic of streaming, range from 25 minutes to 39 minutes.
Okay, that's not terrible. And I think that makes it easier to marathon too, because you go through a half hour and you're just kind of I can do another half hour. That's no problem.
Yeah, exactly.
And I like the idea of making it a comedy. Plus, I've had a history streak, specifically with Russia, because of everything that's going on, where it's been kind of interesting to look into their history. They have a very vast history. And I think
very tumultuous history in the last couple hundred years, especially.
Yeah, and I think that makes this show sound even more fascinating because it's topical. It's stuff that's going on right now that is in some way affected by those events many, many hundreds of years ago. Well, not many, but
this is true.
Yeah,
I think you will pick some of that out of this, and that reminds me also. that if there is another Catherine the Great show called Catherine, starring Helen Mirren. That is, I don't know what that is airing on, but it's something that I want to check out eventually.
Well, that's not confusing
but I
at
think
all.
that is probably more on the dramatic side.
So you just pair the two of them to get a good view of history.
Yes. I think that would be interesting to watch them around the same time. Or to, like, once this finish up, to watch that show after this finishes up, because she's obviously older in that show.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. Helen Mirren is ageless.
She is. That is damn true. So the next pitch I want to bring up is Critical Role.
Yay!
So this is like a completely untraditional pitch for us. This is a streaming show. It is 8 voice actors get together and play Dungeons and Dragons, and it's fantastic. And the stories that they've developed through it, they are stories that I hold dear because I've been along every step of the way with them. You know, okay, it took me like a year or two to actually catch on to this, but me and my wife have been with them since then. And I say that like, you know, like I did such good work. It's all them, obviously, but we're big fans. We buy merch from their shop, and we were so excited that they're finally doing an animated series, and that's pretty much what we're talking about here today. But I wanted to mention that they've had 2 campaigns completed so far, and they're working on their 3rd. The first season is about Vox Machina, which eventually was turned into this animated series. The second is about the Mighty Nine, and they just revealed the name of the new group, so if you don't want a spoiler for that, skip ahead for 5 seconds. They're called Bell's Hells.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that on their page. It was already spoiled for me, but I like that name a lot.
Yes, I enjoy it, and it honors a certain character in their group. I'll say that. So this story, the first story, and I think you're already been swinging at Vox Machina, so we can just bring at Critical Role rather. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
If you don't mind, if you don't mind,
I'd
like to step in and say, one, to go back to earlier, you had said that it's like, not that I have been doing anything to help this along. You have been, as they mention so often on the show, and even though it sounds corny, if not for the viewers, it would not be anywhere. And it's the same with this show. This is
true.
You know, it's the same with this. If we didn't have listeners, we wouldn't still be doing this, because it's enjoyable to talk, and we love talking to each other about movies and television, but it's also for you guys, for the couch potatoes. So Thank you guys for tuning in and helping out. Like you said, you buy their merch, that helps them out. You go to I don't think we've ever gone to their shows, but it was a hope for us.
Yes,
way back in the day.
They haven't been doing that so much since the pandemic, obviously.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll get back to it though with this 3rd campaign, as long as the numbers keep going down. So knock on wood about that. But
some interesting stuff with this 3rd campaign.
Yeah.
And I don't want to talk too much details because, there's people that haven't jumped on yet. So it's a really good time to jump on
included.
Because they're really at the beginning of this campaign.
Yeah, and I'm one of those. I haven't jumped on yet. I am 2 hours into the first episode. So that's the thing with the problem with Critical Role, the streaming show on YouTube and Twitch, is that the first campaign is like 120 some episodes. The average runtime is around 3.5 to 4 hours long. It is a lot of work to get through them. Campaign 2, even longer. I can't remember how many episodes they did, but it's like 140 or something like that. Maybe only 130. But it's a lot of episodes, same runtime, all 3 hours, 4 hours long.
I would say the average is 4 hours.
Yeah, the average is.
They shoot for 3, but they got a couple of 5-hour episodes.
Yeah, and if
it really just depends on their energy and what's going on in the campaign.
And that's the thing. As a lot of people who criticize Critical Role always complain about, they always say it's like a very scripted, it's overly dramatical, and it's just like, I love that aspect of the show. It's like, sure, there are a lot of scripted moments. There are character build areas where they go on dialogue trips, where it definitely is them just having a good actor's time. And some of it is definitely improvised.
Right, but it's still, I think, improvised. I think
most of it is.
I don't think the players plan this stuff ahead. That at least what they're going to say. If they do, it's something they've come up with, like, I want to say this to this character at some point.
Right.
I don't think it's anything past that. I think they're in for the ride of the mystery that the Dungeon Master's providing.
Right, and I agree with you. I think that for the most part it is. I think between each other, though, I think there are many moments that they script to get their characters to where they want them to be. And so they offset, off camera, they'll set things up between each other where it's like, hey, I want to have a conversation with your character about this, this, and this. And so when they talk, they'll make sure they do that. Yeah, it's all in preparation, which is, it's totally fine for me because I would do that for my D&D games. But it's just...
That's still improv.
Yeah.
That's still... It's just... That's like commedia dell'arte at that point.
Right.
Because they have a script. The script is just who's on stage at one point and, hey, this is what I want to accomplish in this scene. And then they make up the fucking rest. Yeah. And I still think that's great improv. So if you want to complain about that,
I don't want to complain. I don't.
Yeah, no, not you. I'm talking about the listeners out there.
And I think for those people, it doesn't feel like D&D, because if you ever play D&D, you're typically not doing it with actors. You're not doing it with people who are able to assume these characters and script it out like it's some big epic television show. And so when you play it, it is still a lot of fun to play D&D. If you never play it, I do recommend it to anybody out there because it's
100%.
It's one of the best experiences of my life.
Cut that out. I don't want to DM 100 people's game.
Well, what we could do is if you go down to patreon.com/green and faceless, we could offer that for our toppest tier.
Okay. I'm going to remake a new top tier then.
A $50 tier, or if you pay $50 a month, you can get a special hosted game by the Faceless Liam. If you want
you have to pledge for at least 3 months. Okay.
Yeah. And if you want that, let us know in the comments. We can see if we can make that happen. But I do recommend it. I do recommend playing Dungeons and Dragons because it's such a fun experience, and it's a role playing game where you literally get to create your own character and just try to make them survive. Try to make them live in this world that your dungeon master is providing you.
Yeah,
and it's so fun.
You get a group together, and it's a fun friend bonding experience, and you make your own legends. Yeah,
and it's fucking wonderful. And I think just from the complainer's point of view, it doesn't feel like Dungeons and Dragons because it seems very much like a bigger thing. It's I don't know. It's not the same experience that they have playing Dungeons and Dragons, and I get it. I think it's just one of the most fascinating things to watch, and it makes me feel. It does make me feel a bit like a wasteoid though. Sometimes when I get through a whole episode, and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't do anything for the last 4 hours. I just sat on the couch and watched this show.
I will say, to prep for my first time to ever play D&D, I watched most of an episode of this show, and I didn't get it. I didn't really get the show until I played the game.
Yeah.
So, and it was almost immediately after I played the game that I was like, okay, now I want to watch that show that I tried to watch.
Yeah.
Because D&D kind of is addicting. I will put that out there. And you just can't get your friends together enough to do it, or have a game prepared enough for as many times as you want to play it. At least for me. I don't know if that's for you, but for me, that's how it is.
Where I am with it is I love the game a lot, and it was something that I would like try to sneak in my childhood. I didn't have people to play with in my childhood, So I did a lot of stuff online, which was very weird because it was very limited time that I had. But at the same time, I would also play games like RuneScape. Like, I loved RPG games. RuneScape is not at all similar. I mean, it has similarities to D&D, but it's not like that at all. But like,
similar that is an RPG.
Yeah, but like I would sneak that kind of stuff into my life because, I mean, it's not like my parents would have tabooed it, but it's just nobody in my world played D&D, but I loved it.
Right.
It was a very fascinating idea for me. And as I've grown older, that love has grown a lot to where I want to keep playing it. But my free time has also dwindled a lot.
Right.
To where I don't want my free time to just be playing D&D, even though that would be a lot of fun.
Sure.
But yeah, it's just there's some weekends where I just need an off.
Sure. 100%. I understand that too. And I mean, as the DM, I definitely need breaks.
Right. Yeah.
Between
you got
sessions.
Fucking build a huge story.
Right. But when you're on a roll with it and like there's still stuff that you have prepared enough that you don't want to prepare anymore, you just want to get back in there. It's like, when can you guys come over again?
Yeah.
And
especially if you if you end a session in the middle of like a fight, like, you know, when you get into a fights can take a long time, and then you look at the clock and it's like, oh shit, I gotta get to work tomorrow and it's 11 o'clock. All right, we gotta go.
Right.
So then you're kind of just wanting to get back. And I'm excited though because Doctor Who is they've gotten in touch with who is it that does D&D right now? Is it Wizards of the Coast still?
Wizards.
It's just Wizards now?
Yeah. I think it might just be Wizards now. But
yeah, I was going to say, it used to be Wizards of the Coast or something along that line.
It might even be the West Coast.
Maybe.
Maybe
but,
not.
But Doctor Who, BBC, I guess, has gotten in touch. There is a Doctor Who role-playing game. I don't remember which company makes it, but they do have their own role-playing game. But apparently those people have gotten in touch with the Wizards company, and they're making a Doctor Who D&D game called Doctors and Daleks or something like that. So it's still going to be D&D. It's just going to be a different type of D&D. But it's going to have all the same rules as regular D&D, but within its own Doctor Who universe. I'm really fucking excited for that. Right. I think I'm going to end up falling into that just like you fell into Dungeons and Dragons.
I'm so excited for it, dude. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun.
And obviously, you know, I feel like because you are so much more involved in the lore of that, you should probably run the first time.
But that's the thing is, like, I don't...
But I will definitely run it for you.
Yeah.
I will definitely run it for
you.
I'm
gonna see if I'm able to, because I definitely have a lot of story ideas that I want to make into my own television show idea, you know, if I ever became the showrunner. Yeah. But it's... I don't know. DMing has never been something I've enjoyed. I've never done it, but it's never been an idea that I think I would enjoy. So it'd be a challenge, but I'm definitely up for it. But to get back to Critical Role, before we talk the Legends of Vox Machina itself, I just wanted to say that I came on really late in the game. I don't remember when you introduced it to me, but it was still in the first campaign because I remember us watching it live at your house many weeks in a row,
right,
during the first campaign. But I think we actually finished the first campaign together because I remembered watching the beginning of the Mighty Nine together as well.
Okay, that makes sense. I think that tracks.
Yeah, because I remember I've seen all of the first campaign.
I stayed pretty caught up on the Mighty Nine. I kind of dropped off in the Conclave of Dragons, which they... Never mind. I kind of dropped off in the Conclave of Dragons just because it's so long.
Yeah, it is pretty long.
It is the longest part of that first campaign.
Yeah.
But it has a very satisfying ending as well.
Yes, wholeheartedly.
And then after that point, it's just on. I couldn't stop watching it after that. So.
Yeah, well, maybe we didn't watch the ending of it. I don't remember when, but I definitely have seen all of the first campaign. Loved it. Thought it was a fascinating story, and then Mighty Nine happened, and I was fascinated with Mighty Nine. I love these characters almost a lot more than the other ones. Mm-hmm. I don't know. There's some that are close. Like we'll talk Percy coming up, and we'll talk Grog as well. But those voice actors, they're other characters in the Mighty Nine. I haven't grown yet with, but I've only watched, the first 50 or 60 episodes before I fell way behind because of personal life issues, and I wasn't able to watch a 4-hour show every week.
Right.
And so now I'm trying to catch back up on that. But as I'm trying to catch back up on the second campaign, I've decided to start watching the third campaign, which, as I mentioned earlier, I'm only 2 hours into the first episode on. So
for the couch potato out there considering jumping on this show, I would recommend either to jump on the second or third campaign, and if you like it, to go back to the first campaign. Because there's a couple things about the first campaign that might make it rough for you. So first thing is they're just figuring it out. Especially at the beginning. It's a little rough. It's a lot smoother by the time they get to the second campaign. The other thing is they played this game for 2 years before they started playing it on the live stream. So they already know who these characters are. There's no introduction, really. They have this lovely animated, like semi-animated intro that explains who the characters are and some of their backstory, but we miss a lot of that. And so I recommend either jumping on the second season or the second campaign or the third campaign. But also, if you really just want to get a taste for these characters, come and watch The Legend of Vox Machina.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Because it stands alone. Yeah. It stands alone.
I was going to say,
for these stories.
If Critical Role excites you or entices you, watch this animated show first. And if you like that, then do what you just said. Go to 3, 2, 1 or 2, 3, 1.
I like that better than what I said.
Yeah, because let's dive into the show.
Well, I think before we do that, and I know that this show is supposed to be about The Legend of Vox Machina, and it hasn't yet then, I do think maybe we should do a soda pop break.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, let's do a quick one. So I think first we should just talk the characters, yeah? Let's talk the voice cast and who they play.
Yeah. Oh yeah!
So I'll go with the straight Wikipedia listing of the cast here from The Legend of Vox Machina.
Sounds good.
You have one of my favorite voice actors of all time, Laura Bailey, voicing Vexalia Vesar, just known as Vex, familiarly as Vex.
Yeah.
She is are they half elves or is she an elf? She's a half elf.
They're half-elves.
Yeah, she and her...
In fact, that's part of their story, too, is a little bit of racism.
Right.
The elvish side.
Right, yeah. She and her brother, Vaxeldon Vaxvesar, known as Vax. So Vex and Vax. And Vax is voiced by the great Liam O'Brien. I did not really recognize his voice until this show. Now I recognize his voice everywhere I go. But
right.
But he wasn't like one of the voice actors that like. I don't know voice acting that well. I'm not so great in the community of remembering those names. But
this show got me into it.
Yeah, it's same. Yeah, but there were 3 of these voice actors that I knew a lot of before coming in here, just because they were so iconic. But yeah, Laura and Vax. We have Vex and Vax. We've talked about. There's also one of my favorite characters of all time.
Should we do classes since it's a D&D show?
Oh, yeah. Vex is a ranger, and Vax is a rogue. Sorry, I thought you were talking race at first. I was like, I said they were half-elves, and I was like, oh, no, classes, yeah. Anyways, next up, though, you have one of my favorite characters of all time, literally, Percival. Percival Fredericks... hold on, I have his full name here. Percival Frederickstein von Musel Klasowski de Rollo III, known as Percy.
That's him.
Played by Taliesin Jaffe. Oh, he's great. I do love Taliesin Jaffe. But literally, Percy, that was one of my favorite things was, I don't know, watching that first campaign, I loved Percy. He was such a good character. I loved how Taliesin played him. I loved Taliesin's voice for him. And then when he came to this animated show, it's so fucking good. I really love Percy in this animated show. Yeah. He becomes kind of the focus of this first season, at least. I mean, the whole cast, the whole group has something they do. They have their big moments. They all have slight focuses, but his story is kind of the narrative focus for the first season. And it's phenomenal. Yeah. I love it. We'll get into that later. He is what was he? What was his class? Is he a gunslinger?
He's technically a fighter.
Okay.
He's a gunslinger fighter. Gotcha. They homebrewed it for the game.
He always likes those homebrews.
Yeah.
Next up, probably the most famous person on the show, I guess, in regards to having a pretty lucrative live action and voice active career is Ashley Johnson, playing Pike Trickfoot.
Oh, hell yeah. I love Ashley.
Yeah, she's great. And the only problem is that she being so busy, I can't remember what TV show she was on.
Blindside,
that's right.
Blindside.
I haven't watched it.
It's about this woman who gets found with no memory and has tattoos all over herself, and they all refer to different cases and stuff where there's corruption. And so they build this team and start tracking down what the tattoos mean. And Ashley Johnson is the lead character who, I don't remember the character's name, who solves the puzzles. She's like their smart computer geek person.
And you watch this?
And she's great in it. Nice. I've watched the first 3 seasons, and then I don't know why I couldn't finish watching it. I watched the first couple episodes of the 4th, and it was just different.
Yeah, I do love Ashley.
It's over now.
It's just it's sad because she's so often not in the campaigns. There's many episodes in a row where she's not there
because of that. That is part of my secret review of Blindside, is that they took Ashley Johnson away from me.
How dare they? Yeah, it does. They definitely make it work with the characters she's playing.
Definitely.
It's just sad at times because it's just like, oh, you miss her presence. It's so joyful. But she is a gnome cleric.
Especially Pike.
Yeah, Pike is their healer. Next up in the show's cast list is the great, so great, Matthew Mercer. He is another one of the names that I knew coming into this. I knew Laura Bailey. I knew Matthew Mercer. The best is being saved for last. But Matthew Mercer in the show plays Lord Silas Briarwood. In the campaign stream, he does every NPC voice.
Everyone else.
He is God. He is the dungeon master. Yeah, it's mostly his stories. I don't know. Does he have co-writers? I wonder. Does he have people help him make these stories?
I don't know. I don't know. And they are doing some different things with campaign 3.
Yeah. 2 hours in,
especially in this
whoa.
Last episode. This last episode definitely is like, oh, okay, so they're doing something weird, and so we're really trying to get that next episode, Greg. Get that next episode, and I guess actually by the time this comes out, that episode would have.
You'll be satisfied.
It has already aired. I will be able to watch it come this Monday, which has already happened to the Couch Potato.
So you'll know that he is satisfied or even more upset.
And I'm not upset. I'm just a little confused and feel sad.
Uh-oh.
So I guess upset.
But Matthew Mercer is phenomenal. If in the stream, It's fun to watch him do these voices. Like, there is a fascination with watching voice actors do voices. I don't know where it comes from. A lot of the times they are making basically the exact same faces, but there are some times where they have to like reach for a voice, and they have to pull off some great faces to make voices happen. And Matthew Mercer is just fabulous to watch do that. There are some gnome voices, like some dwarf voices he does. I don't know. It's great. He is a wonderful human being. And as Silas Briarwood, if I'm being honest, he is sexy as fuck. Like, his Silas Briarwood voice is great, especially since Briarwood is I guess spoilers, slight spoilers. He's a vampire.
Yeah.
So he is alluring. He is very charismatic and very charming. Yes. And Matt Mercer pulls that off phenomenally. He's so great. We've already talked to Liam. I skipped to talk Liam with Laura because Vex and Vax. So next would be Marisha Ray as Keyleth. another half-elf, and a druid. Yes. Keyleth is great. I don't think Marisha Ray is as widely known as a voice actor as she is for other of her numerous jobs. She does a lot of shit.
Yeah, she does a lot of shit. She does a lot of shit for... she's like the creative director for Critical Role now, the whole company.
I think she's a great voice actor here, too. I think she does...
She is.
Because she's pitted up against a lot of big-name voice actors. Not to say that she's not, in her own right, a good voice actor, but like the fact that she shines among all of them. I mean, she's also, it's fun watching her just be friends with them in the stream, but as the show alone, she does a great job as Keyleth.
She does. I think I like The Legend of Vox Machina's Keyleth a little bit better than in the stream. And for some reason, the fan base had a lot of complaints about Keyleth as the show ran on, and gave her a really hard time. And I did not appreciate that about the fans. So, critters out there, if you hear that, just... leave her be.
Yeah, I see the same. It's the same every season. They find like certain characters to point at and get mad about.
Yeah.
Because when I was looking up Campaign 3, I saw a lot of people complaining about Ashton, I guess, and more of his vulgarity.
Okay.
I guess he's he's quite vulgar, and I guess they didn't like that he says cuss words a lot. And I'm just like, that's the show.
He's got a 4 in charisma. Something like that. It's really low,
right? Yeah, it's ridiculous, but people gonna hate. But I do like Keyleth, and I definitely agree with you. I like her more in the show. She has a lot of moments that I think are better delivered visually than just through the audible podcasty version of the stream.
Right.
Next up, another voice that I did not know until I watched this show, and now I recognize it everywhere. Sam Riegel as Scanlan Shorthall.
Yep.
Probably the funniest person alive. One of them, at least.
He might be. I mean, yeah, it's pretty close.
Yeah.
He does the ad each episode.
Oh, God. And some of them were just like, how did you think it? Like, I don't know. I imagine it takes him a while to write some of these ads, but a few of them you do get that he wrote them in a week. And yet they're just phenomenally hilarious. Like it's that SNL quality of being able to write something super fast and still make you laugh. Like it's
and it is so, and it's like so hit punchy. The last one he did though, he did it like the thing where he kept on. So he made a machine that generated an ad for him. For him. And then it was all just him saying like the most demeaning things to himself and how like he has to make everyone laugh just to feel something.
Oh my God.
And it was just, and like nobody laughed. Nobody on this stream laughed.
Jesus.
But it was like a delayed thing. Like they laughed about it later. Like, why did he do that? Sam.
He is great. And Scanlan is probably the most offensive character of this entire crew. He's a gnome bard with a strong penchant for sex. Anything sexual, really. He has anyone. Yeah, he's got lightning bolts that can come out of his penis. It's fabulous. It's phenomenal.
Sex is his power.
It is. The last voice is the last one that I knew before the campaign, before the show and everything. And it's one of my favorite voice actors, Travis Willingham as Grog.
Pretty amazing.
He is the voice of Thor in a lot of stuff. And that is basically why I knew him. There's another one that he's really famous for.
Well, he just did Kingpin and the... well, I say just. I guess that game came out a while ago.
Oh, it's Roy Mustang. He's Roy Mustang in Full Metal Alchemist. I haven't watched that, honestly, but that was one of his biggest roles. And I don't know. Living with the Professor Ronvald the Scald for so long, I just knew the voice of Travis Willingham. And here he plays a Goliath barbarian, and just lovable, stupid Grog.
Yeah, for those unversed in fantasy lore / D&D specifically, a Goliath is a half giant. But they are more descendant from half giants, to be fair, because they kind of keep to themselves and tribes, at least in Matt's world.
Right.
In later campaigns, they are a little bit more sprinkled out.
And not to just bog down the entirety of this talk with just the cast, I'll try to really quickly rush through some of the supporting characters, that the ones that I loved the most, at least. So I'll do it real quick here. Obviously, David Tennant as General Krieg, phenomenal choice. I love David Tennant. Obviously, spoilers for the character, go forward 10 seconds if you don't want to hear any spoilers about the show. General Krieg is a dragon in human flesh.
Yeah.
And when he becomes a dragon, hell yes. That's what I've always wanted from David Tennant. It's fabulous. It's great.
Yeah, it's pretty great. It's also, though, only 3 episodes.
Yeah, that part itself is also very sad.
No, 2 episodes. It's only 2 episodes.
Yeah, it's only 2 episodes.
I hope he comes back for a short role next season.
Yeah, they replace it with Grey Griffin as Delilah Briarwood. Her and Silas. Yeah, her and Silas become the villains for the first season after that. And Grey Griffin is just beautiful. Just holy shit. It's wonderful. Like, she's another great voice actor. And any other one I wanted to mention, there's so many others to mention, but I don't want to just bog the whole thing down with talking about that, was Dominic Monaghan as Archibald Desney. It's Mary from Lord of the Rings.
Yes, if we're talking about a fantasy show and you got a famous fantasy actor, you gotta mention him.
Yeah, he's gotta be in it, and his voice, it was so funny when I recognized that it was him, because I was like, oh my god, what happened to his voice? It is so rough. It's like the dude has smoked like a pack of cigarettes for the last 10 years of his life.
It really does sound that way, and I don't know if it's just because he was trying to make something different for a dwarf, and Archibald's a dwarf, but it really it does not sound like Mary. It doesn't sound like Mary. I listened to a podcast
episode, and he kind of sounds like that. Like, it sounds like he went a little rougher for the show, but he kind of talks like about this.
He also was a very young man when he played that role, and people's voices do change. About 3 times in your life, your voice changes.
Percy, you gotta lead us. You're the leader,
that's just
Percy.
Who he is right now. You're the leader, Percy.
Oh, it's good. And I don't know, to talk about the show itself, this first season, it's kind of about them coming together as a group, working together as a group.
Right. They're already a group, but but I think Keyleth puts it the best way. She just does not understand why they're together.
Yeah, because they're not accomplishing much. It doesn't seem that way at first.
Even Pike's like, can't we do some good?
Yeah.
They're like, we're dirt broke. We have to do what we have to do.
Right. I mean, it's the long running joke of D&D is you come across a situation. Most people, when they first play D&D, are like, oh yeah, I'm going to attack this. This is going to be fun. Let's fight. And there's so many other options available. You can try to actually solve problems diplomatically. There's so many ways to try to do things.
There's so many ways to do it, but you can also just kill the thing. And
you can also just fight.
The beauty of it.
Exactly.
That is the beauty of the game.
You're all equipped to fight. Why not?
Yeah. Except for, some of those classes are pretty squishy. They don't have a wizard or really just caster. Druids are weird. They're casters, but they're also healers, and they're also tanks.
And in a television environment, clerics and druids, Keyleth and Pike, they're they seem ridiculously overpowered. It's crazy.
Oh, they really do. Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they're definitely not that powerful in the game until later levels. Everybody is that powerful in the game at later levels.
And to be fair, they all have moments like that. Grog has a moment where he I guess it's spoilers. I'm sorry, but he is in a vat of acid. I'll say. and he is withstanding that for a long period of time while Pike's healing him at the same time. But like it's a crazy show of strength. Like they all have these beautiful moments of like proving themselves in their abilities, and through those moments they prove their character development too as the show goes along. So like it's really well done. Like
after that scene's done, he asks Pike, turns to Pike, he's like, "How's Captain Winky?"
He's worried about his...
he's worried about his dick. And she says, "All accounted for, buddies."
still hanging strong or something like that.
Yes, that's right. Still hanging strong. Or hanging low, maybe.
Hanging low, I think. Yeah, still hanging low.
Oh, man.
Oh, it's good. There's a lot of juvenile humor. And I don't think it at all contradicts the film or the show at all. It's so funny to me. Like it's tastefully so done. It's not just like fart jokes just for a fart joke. You know, it's
there's some funny scat jokes.
There are some
with Scanlan. Yeah,
pretty good. Yes,
which Scanlan's... I never thought that I would be happy about poop jokes, but
yeah. See, that's the weird thing. When watching the campaign, Scanlan was probably one of my favorites. It was like him and Percy, because Sam Riegel in person, when he makes these jokes and how everybody reacts to it, so funny.
So fast.
Yeah, fast too. But to see it in the show, like when it happens, they were my least favorite jokes. Like, because they were so...
I still love Scanlan, though.
I still loved them, too. That's what I'm saying. Like, the jokes still made me laugh. It was just, they were right on that border of being tasteless that I was just like, oh, God. It's like, okay.
Oh, my God. Yeah, so one that was right on the border of being tasteless and not Scanlan, it was a Keyleth thing. It was that first scene in the bar when they're getting that brawl with the other mercenary group, and this Knoll comes to swipe at her, and she just throws up in his mouth.
Yeah, that one was gross, man.
That was pretty gross, but I could not help from laughing.
Yeah,
it just couldn't help it.
I mean, it also is so Keyleth, too, to just be, like, embarrassing in the moment.
Yes.
It's just what she does.
That's embarrassing.
But like she gets an amazing moment at the end, like through her abilities and also proving herself as a caster in a way. Her and Pike have a good moment that keeps recurring to empower Keyleth that I really loved. It's just they all have great storylines that are developed, but like Percy's specifically is dark and lends itself so well to a first television show where they're all trying to prove themselves. Like I love Percy's story, and I'm excited to see what they do with season 2, even though I know, but you know.
Yes, but still, like, because you don't know what they're going to keep and what they're going to cut out. For example, there's a whole segment of the story in Craghammer where they help these dwarves and go into the Underdark that they didn't even do at all. There's pretty obvious reasons if you watch the stream as to why, but it does seem like a fast forward to somebody who was with them with that. But I think the way they wrote it worked really well. Briarwood's work really well as a first season villain. They are definitely in a completely different place than they were at the beginning of the season. And, you know, that makes for great TV.
Yeah, and I imagine from what I remember of the campaign, they can easily do 2 more seasons, I think.
Definitely. I think that would be good.
Yeah, and I'm very excited, and I hope they bring back all of their supporting cast. I'm sorry that we can't go through them all. There's just way too many of them to give them their due credit. But it's all so well done, and just watching this whole show develop from a YouTube campaign that we watched. I mean, it's not just YouTube. It's like Twitch and a bunch of other stuff. But that's where I catch it on, is YouTube. But watching it develop from that, which in and of itself was developed from just a Dungeons and Dragons game and Matt Mercer's house, and seeing it become this amazing fucking animated show, this has been a great journey. I'm so happy to watch it.
Right. Like, this is like the full circle moment. They have said this on the stream, is that they are people who act in cartoons. They played a game, they made a stream, it then became a cartoon. Yeah. So they're really excited about it, but Critical Role is not just the stream anymore. It's not just this show either. They have comic books. They have
shit ton of merchandise.
A charity foundation. They have all this stuff. Like, and that's another thing that I really like about them is that since the beginning, they have donated proceeds, a chunk of the proceeds to charity, and encouraged their streamers to support charities that they find interest in, particularly to do with literacy, which I appreciate.
Right.
Go watch the stream. Go watch the show.
Yeah.
I give it a face and a half. I've already watched it twice.
Yeah, I was going to say, I watched it once, and then Professor Ronvald the Scald came down to visit, and I was like, dude, have you watched this show? Yeah, I was like, have you watched this show? And he's like, oh, yeah, I got like 4 or 5 episodes left. I'm like, well, we got like 4 hours. And he was like, fuck yeah. So I watched the whole second half of it again because it's great. I give it 4 stars easy. Easy recommend. It's on Amazon Prime.
Yep. Amazon Prime original. I'm just sad that the season's over already.
Yeah.
Like they did it in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And they could have hooked me for all 12 weeks if they wanted to do 1 episode at a time.
Or just even 2. If they had just done it for 6 weeks and done 2 episodes a week, that would have been nice. I was surprised they did 3, but I was so happy they did.
I mean, yes, I definitely devoured them as soon as they came out. One last thing I wanted to say about the cast, just if you're interested in these group of 8 people, Marisha Ray and Matthew Mercer got married over the course of they're streaming the show. And Laura Bailey and Travis Willingham, they are also married and have a son. And Sam Riegel and Liam O'Brien might as well be married.
Right, I was going to say, I was about to say. I was like, they should be. It's kind of like David Tennant and Michael Sheen from Good Omens. Like, they were just like, they're not married, but they might as well should be.
Well, I think that's our show.
Indeed it is. I am the, thanks for joining us. I am the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
And I am the Faceless Leone. If we haven't said it already, if you enjoy this show and wish to support us, please go to patreon.com/greenandfaceless or leave us a review or like or follow where you listen. Love you, couch potatoes. Safe travels and good night. Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of FictionWorks 19. If you like the show, please show your support by rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. Like, follow, subscribe, wherever you might listen. We also now have a Patreon account. If you feel so inclined to support us in a financial manner, please become a patron by visiting patreon.com/greenandfaceless. You can also find more information about us on our Facebook account or on the FictionWorks 19 Instagram account. Thank you so much for listening.